This episode of Max Scoville's Study Hall is brought to you by Netflix.
Well, I just woke up in this cornfield and there's all these weird patterns in the ground and my ass kind of hurts, so I'm guessing it was probably those damn UFOs. Or possibly tequila. Greetings, true believers, and welcome back to another episode of Max Scoville's Study Hall. I am the guy that they want you to believe is Max Scoville. And Study Hall is a show where I take a particular topic and somehow relate it to video games and then run down a pile of my personal pop culture recommendations that'll go nicely with it. Today, we are talking about the Bureau, XCOM Declassified. As the title might allude, the Bureau declassifies the origins of XCOM. XCOM is a secret organization that is tasked with defending Earth from extraterrestrial threats, aka aliens, and the game is set in 1962 when tensions were already running high thanks to the ongoing Cold War with Russia and in wake of the Cuban Missile Crisis. So it makes a good setting for an alien invasion because everyone's already kind of worried about flying objects of various sorts. Now, from Space War to Space Invaders to Contra to Mass Effect, extraterrestrials have been a part of gaming since the very beginning, and that certainly isn't the only place they've shown up. But the Bureau isn't just a game about aliens, it's also about sneaky government organizations doing stuff behind the public's back. So today, I'm going to go over some stuff in pop culture that involves these themes to try and blow the lid off these conspiracies. Or recommend stuff to you, I guess. UFO fandom and government conspiracies were huge in the 90s, possibly because of the 50th anniversary of that alleged UFO crash that took place in Roswell, New Mexico back in 1947. And in the same way that zombies have been all the rage the past few years, I remember just a stupid abundance of alien stuff when I was a kid, especially on TV. I think it's safe to say that The X-Files is one of, if not the definitive show involving government conspiracy theories and alien activity. Now, as much as I wish I could say that I'm a huge X-Files fan and I've seen every episode and I love it, I'm not. I was actually a bit young for it when it first aired on TV, and when I tried to go back and watch it when I was 11 or 12, it scared the absolute bejesus out of me, and I haven't actually worked up the nerve to go back and check it out. But that being said, I am well aware that it's a very smart show and it's deserving of a ton of praise, and I think it's really odd how little fandom there seems to be for it nowadays. I mean, of all the geeky stuff from the 80s and 90s that's been rebooted and rehashed and re-released and fawned over on Tumblr and made t-shirts for, it's kind of rare to see a Mulder and Scully cosplay or a The Truth Is Out There shirt at a convention, and it used to be one of the biggest geek fandoms, so that's kind of weird. So on the topic of UFOs and alien conspiracies and all that stuff, definitely check out The X-Files. Of course, if you're a big sissy baby like me, you could always just go watch Californication, which has nothing to do with UFOs or conspiracies, and you could just pretend that Hank Moody is actually Fox Mulder trying to forget all the paranormal stuff by, drinking heavily and then having sex with everything that comes within 10 feet of his general groinal vicinity. Come to think of it, a lot of the stuff that people do in Los Angeles can be considered paranormal activity. Does anybody have any like Californication or X-Files fan theories, like crossover stuff, or maybe fan fiction? Anything? No? Anyway, next up, movies! Steven Spielberg is pretty much a household name at this point, but back in 1977 when Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out, he was probably just that guy who did that movie about the shark. Jaws, that one. However, the world's knowledge of paranormal terminology probably wouldn't be what it is without him. I mean, the term Close Encounters sounds like the name of a strip club, but it's hardly ever used to describe anything but UFO activity nowadays. Anyway, the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind doesn't get quite as much love as some of his other movies, but it's absolutely worth watching. You'll never eat mashed potatoes the same way again. Fun fact, the third kind in the title actually comes from a method of classification used by actual UFOologists called the Hynek scale. A close encounter of the first kind is visually spotting a UFO, and a close encounter of the second kind is a visual sighting with physical evidence to support it, like crop circles or a sore backside. And a close encounter of the third kind is actually spotting whoever or whatever was on board this mysterious flying object. Presumably, either waving at you from the porthole or walking around outside following a trail of Reese's Pieces. Anyway, while X-Files and Close Encounters were serious and realistic and dark and thought-provoking, Men in Black took a much more lighthearted approach to government agents having, close encounters with third kinds and so forth. And if you haven't seen the first movie, just stop watching garbage on YouTube and go see it. It's great. The second Men in Black, which came out in 2002, was unfortunately just an absolute mess. It's terrible. Don't see that. But the third movie, if you skipped it because the second one sucked so much, dropped last summer and was actually a lot of fun. I was really into that one. If you're one of those people who pays attention to the credits, you might have noticed that Men in Black is allegedly based on a Marvel comic, which is sort of true. The original Men in Black comic, which was just called The Men in Black, was a 3-issue indie series published in the early 90s by a company called Aircell Comics, which was later bought by Malibu Comics, which was subsequently acquired by Marvel. In the original comics, the titular guys in dark suits were much more ruthless and were less concerned with protecting the Earth than they were with secretly controlling it. They were kind of dicks. In addition to aliens, the comic book Men in Black also dealt with werewolves and zombies and demons and crazy street drugs, so they took some liberties with the movie, but I think it worked out for the best. Now, moving on to cartoons. Following the first movie, when I was just a wee child, Men in Black the series debuted as a Saturday morning cartoon, and I remember being initially really turned off by the art style and the fact that the characters weren't quite Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, but the show is actually surprisingly solid for a cartoon series, especially one that's aimed at kids. It does an awesome job fleshing out side characters and introducing some new ones who actually fit into the universe quite well. Another absolutely awesome cartoon from the 90s that dealt with tons of aliens and conspiracy theories and Area 51 and other paranormal stuff like that was The Real Adventures of Jonny Quest, which first aired way back in 1996 and lasted about 2 seasons. While some of the CGI cutscenes in the show are probably a bit dated, the writing was on an entirely different level from basically everything else that was passing for an after-school cartoon at the time. In addition to a fairly high-profile voice cast, including the likes of Robert Patrick, the T-1000, and George Segal, an old guy and a bunch of stuff, The Real Adventures of Jonny Quest also featured a number of voice actors who've since become regulars in video games, including Jennifer Femshep Hale and Quentin Ryden Flynn. Now, I already mentioned the Men in Black comic books, but they're certainly not the only ones worth mentioning. XCOM isn't the only top secret government bureau, and there's also the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, better known as B.P.R.D. It's the team that Hellboy is most famously affiliated with, and the comics follow its other members after Hellboy takes a leave of absence because he's sick of being a tool for the government. Between Mike Mignola's gorgeous artwork and some delightfully strange stories that draw from a variety of folklore and a healthy dash of Lovecraftian themes, B.P.R.D. is definitely worth looking into. It's broken up into a number of miniseries and short segments, but a good place to start is with Plague of Frogs, Hollow Earth, or The Dead, all of which can be easily tracked down as collected editions. Jumping back to the extraterrestrial side of things, an ongoing series that involves a good amount of UFO stuff is the Manhattan Project, which started up last year. It's set in an alternate history at the end of World War II, where the Manhattan Project, the bunch of dudes who made the atomic bomb, have a whole lot of way weirder stuff up their sleeves. In addition to fans of the Bureau, the retro sci-fi aesthetic of the Manhattan Project should appeal to fans of BioShock and Fallout as well, and the subject matter will definitely appeal to history buffs in general. Now, speaking of history and stuff that allegedly actually happened, apparently, there's still no official word on whether or not we're alone in the universe, but that hasn't stopped hundreds of documentaries from being made about UFO phenomena. In fact, my stepbrother actually helped produce one earlier this year called Sirius, which had a bit of viral buzz on account of them finding an actual tiny dead alien body. Apparently. I don't know, did they? Who knows? You have to watch the movie to find out. Beyond tiny autopsies, Sirius also examines the relationship between extraterrestrials, the environment, and the American military-industrial complex, and the whole thing is narrated by Thomas Jane, so it's basically Aliens versus Punisher. I mean, it's a documentary and there's no guns or the Punisher in it, but hey, close enough. Hey, if you're looking for other UFO documentaries, I heard that Netflix has a ton of them. Whoa, hey, I'm suddenly in a pile of money. Nice. So if you're using the internet to stream videos of me recommending movies to you, then why not use it to stream some movies too? Netflix lets you stream unlimited movies, TV shows, and cool UFO documentaries from basically any device that can play videos and connect to the internet, whether it's a Mac, PC, smartphone, tablet, 360, PS3, Wii U, 3DS, Vita, or Roku box. Any number of other devices. They probably have Netflix fridges, I don't even know. Netflix isn't available worldwide just yet, but they are working on it. No matter where you live, just head to netflix.com/studyhall and it'll let you know if you can sign up. And if you use that URL, you not only get a 14-day free trial, but you're also helping to support this show. All titles, of course, are subject to availability, but as of this very moment in time, this episode going up, all 9 seasons of The X-Files are available to North American Netflix members, so go check it out. That's a lot of X-Files. It's spooky. You guys have been extremely cool and supportive about this show, and I'm having so much fun doing it, so thank you all for watching and saying nice things in the comments and all that stuff. As always, if you've got UFO suggestions or recommendations of your own, feel free to leave them in the comments and tell me what you think I should check out or what other people should check out, but please don't say I forgot to mention something. That drives me nuts. This isn't a top 10 list or a definitive guide. It's just me throwing out some suggestions to broaden everyone's horizon so we can all geek out together. Anyway, just a couple little housekeeping tidbits before we go. First, make sure you catch Tara Long's review of the Bureau XCOM Declassified when it goes up on this very channel. And second, PAX Prime is coming up in a couple weeks, and I'm going to be there. If you are going to be there too, let's hang out. I will be on the Rev 3 Games panel, which is happening on Sunday at 8 p.m. in the Pegasus Theater, and we're going to try and figure out a little study hall meetup at some point, but that hasn't been nailed down yet. Follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with my dumb antics and potential PAX plans, or just to tell me my jokes suck. Whichever. Anyway, there's the bell, but next week we're going to talk about all kinds of weird stuff in honor of Killer is Dead, which is the new game from Suda51. Until then, kids, keep watching the skies. Skies.